the story of our world, there's also this one of empires and kings and armies and conquests, so much of which is a denial of God. Yeah? Mankind trusting in themselves. Yeah? Jesus says there will be wars and rumors of wars, but the end is not yet. I don't know that there's been much of a time in the history of mankind where there has not been war. It's been the story of mankind. Yeah? But most of these wars are nothing to do with God, but to do with the pride of mankind, isn't it? Trusting in themselves, believing in themselves, wanting the other person's property, their land, their power, their riches, their gold, whatever it might be. Trusting in their other gods. And how is this? It's a witness. What does he say? That the other nations will know that there is a God in Israel. Yeah? So when we exercise our faith, our living faith, in our daily lives, in everything that we do, that's a living witness. So other people will know that there is a God. Amen? And this was God versus gods. He speaks about these gods of stone, yeah? And these gods of metal, of iron and gold, all of these different things. He speaks about those. These gods carved from wood, that they never speak. They don't speak, they don't do anything, they can't move. If you speak to them, they can't answer. They perform no miracles. Yet they trust in these gods. The Philistines had their own gods, Dagon and Ashtoreth and Baal-zebub. This was a pagan nation. Let's just pick up some points from the story. This story, which is at the heart of 1 Samuel, establishes David's character. David is to be king. It showcases David's courage, his faith, his reliance on God. Despite being the underdog, he steps forward to face the giant Goliath when no one else dares to. But his confidence is not in himself. Yeah? His confidence is in who? In God. And this would be the story of his monarchy, of his rule. He would stumble and he would make mistakes, and all of those times was when he was trusting in himself. But generally the account, and it's God's account, is he was a man after my own heart. The story illustrates God's power. It shows that God, when God is their king, when God is their captain, when God is their general, they will have victories. Amen? But when they trust in themselves, not only do they lose the battles, but they're even scared to fight. This contrast of leadership styles, this constantly comes out in the teachings that I have with people and in the messages, that there's always a battle of two different kingdoms. One which is about self-elevation, yeah? That's what the devil is about, isn't it? Yeah, and the other one which is about humility, yeah? One is which is about self-gratification and power vested in oneself, but the other one which is about service, yeah? How is it that the God of the universe, who owns the world in his hands, becomes a man and washes feet? Because he's showing us the basis of his kingdom. The fundamental principle on which his kingdom is built is one of love. And that love is not, passive. It's not I am loving. It's I love you. And I demonstrate that love by my sacrifice. Two completely different kingdoms built on two different principles. Saul trusted in himself because he was from the other kingdom. David trusted in God. It's the providence of God that had connected David with Saul. David's position at court would give him a knowledge of affairs in preparation for his future greatness. This is from Patriarchs and Prophets. It would enable him to gain the confidence of the nation. The vicissitudes of hardships which befell him. Remember, he spent those years on the run. I think it was about 20 years. Am I right? Yeah? Through the enmity of Saul would lead him to feel his dependence upon God. He was learning that more and more, his dependence on God, and to put his whole trust in him. This was preparing him to be the king of the 12 tribes. Yeah? And the friendship of Jonathan for David was also God's providence to preserve the life of the future rule of Israel. In all these things, God was working out his gracious purposes for both David, for the people of Israel. Isn't Jesus described as the root and the offspring of David? One stone was enough. You remember the account of the statue in Daniel 2. Yeah? Head of, yeah, breasts of, yeah, steam? No, silver. Yeah? Eyes of brass, legs of iron. Yeah? Iron mixed with earth or clay, the feet. Yeah? And there's the stone, cut out without hands, that comes and destroys all of those kingdoms. Establishing a kingdom that will last forever, because one stone is enough. It depends who's holding the stone. Yeah? The stone that the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. Jesus is described as the rock, yeah, on which I will build my church. Yeah? The foundation stone. All of this is Jesus. What am I saying? That David's victory was based on whom he was standing, on who he was trusting. Yeah? The shepherding made him humble. The warring made him trustful. That's why he could defeat lions and bears and become the king of all of Israel. But God also had to humble him. This is where I'm finishing, that we would also learn this. He said to him, you won't build me a temple. David accepted that and made all the preparations, and he gathered all of the materials, didn't he, to build that temple. But he understood he would not build the temple. Why? Because he was a man of war. He was a man of war. That's not saying he shouldn't have fought, because often God sent him to fight. But sometimes he crossed the line and operated in ways that he took the man's wife, who's Uriah. And what did he do to Uriah? Killed him. And that child, what happened to the child?
Died.
And he had to watch that child die. What am I saying? We will stumble, but will we trust? Yeah? Enemies will come against us, will threaten us, will step into our lives. We will make mistakes. Even pastors will make mistakes. The question is, will we trust? David picked up 5 stones. 1 stone was enough. Who will we pick up? Who will we depend on to defeat the giants in our life? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that threatens the God of the armies of Israel? Amen.